We hope you're having a very wonderful week. This is the second week of the month of July. And if you're joining us from Nairobi or Arusha, Tanzania, where we are, it's probably a little chilly out there. And if you're joining from the rest of East Africa, I think the weather is treating you well. My name is Gabriel Achaye, and it's indeed an absolute honor to have you all this afternoon for this very beautiful session that is leading through change, reimagining legal leadership in a multi generational profession. And, as the profession grows, the different generations that get caught in the web of working together. And today, we seek to explore the nature of legal leadership, intergenerational dynamics within the profession, and strategies needed to lead with vision and inclusivity in the face of rapid change. So, would like to thank you all for joining, and on behalf of the entire team here at the Secretariat, would like to thank you for your constant support and for following our programs. Now, this afternoon, we bring you a very special panel. Why? Because it's a mixed breed of international practitioners, seasoned judicial officers, seasoned private practitioners, and tech practitioners that are in the legal spaces. And of course, the session is moderated by our very own Vice Chairperson of the Young Lawyers Committee, Miss Brownie Ebal, who I will now hand over to take this session forward. Brownie, you have us for the next 2 hours. This session is being streamed live on YouTube and being followed on our Zoom platform. So we'll have members joining from across the region and beyond. So at this juncture, I would like to hand it over to you and take us through the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. My name is Brownie Abal. As Ali introduced, I'm the Vice Chairperson, East African Law Society Young Lawyers Committee. Thank you all for tuning in. We love to see more numbers. Please tell a friend to join in, as the insights that we're going to have this afternoon are going to be transformational, not only for you, but for others. Our topic is reimagining legal leadership in a multi-generational profession. We have a keynote speaker, Mr. Hamad Baig, a barrister with the UK, 33rd Bedford Row Chambers. And we have a managing partner, Africop Attorneys, Angelista Nation. We have His Worship, Faizo Umar, Deputy Registrar of the Judiciary of Uganda, and Jen Ombiro, Head of Data Protection Services, South End Take. These are our panelists for today, and we are extremely excited to have you on this call. Leading through change is basically one of the ways in which the East African Law Society is trying to bridge generational divides rather than widen them, and ensure that we have future-ready teams that honor experience through embracing innovation. We are here to understand how different generations approach legal work and what that means for leadership today, to explore fresh, innovative ways of leading that tap into the strengths of the multi-generational team, and to look at how technology is changing leadership and how we can stay ahead of the curve and spark ideas through mentorship, inclusion, and professional growth. We'll be having a keynote address, Leading Across Generations and Borders, the Future of Legal Leadership and the Rule of Law, by Mr. Hamad Baig from the UK, discussing this topic. In regards to Mr. Hamad Baig, he was called to the bar. He has a bachelor's, an LLB, and a BVC and MIX. Hamad was called to the bar in 2010. He practices commercial litigation, tax and commercial arbitration. He advises on all aspects of indirect tax law and is experienced at in-depth analysis of complex provisions in disputes with His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. He is direct access certified and authorized to conduct litigation by the BSB. Therefore, members of the public may instruct him directly without the need of a solicitor. He's a member of 3, Bedford, Row Chambers. He is cross-qualified as a solicitor and returned to the bar in 2015, having gained first-hand litigation experience. Hamad is ranked as a leading junior by Legal 500 and is listed as a tax expert by Trolley, Tax Intelligence by LexisNexis. He is a member of the following bodies: Customs Practitioners Group, Revenue Bar Association, VAT Practitioners Group, and Institute of Export and International Trade. Prior to coming to law, Hamad managed an international trading business exporting bulk quantities of scrap electronics to China, Hong Kong, UAE, and Pakistan. He also managed an enterprise which manufactured and distributed precious metal and precious stone jewelry to retailers in Canada, UK, US, Australia, and New Zealand. Hamad has also spent some time as a civil servant working in the finance team of a local authority. He regularly appears at the courts and in particular before the tax tribunal. He accepts instructions in civil and criminal matters in relation to tax and commercial law issues. He has experience in challenging detentions and seizure of goods in condemnation proceedings or by requesting restoration. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Hamad Beg as our keynote speaker for today. Thank you.
Brownie, thank you so much, and also thanks to Gabriel and the East Africa Society. The introductions, whenever I'm in Africa, are so vivid and so glamorous that one feels shrinking within their own skin. But nonetheless, you've done a fantastic job in making me feel important, and I shall.
You are important.
Thank you very much. I shall relay that to my family. I am speaking to all of you from the sunny St. Ives, a beachside, sort of seaside area within England, where we are currently for our family holidays. So apologies for a slightly casual attire, but I am essentially in half partial holiday mode. Nonetheless, good afternoon, everyone. It is a profound honor and genuine pleasure to be with you today, virtually for this important webinar hosted by the East Africa Law Society. I extend my sincere gratitude to the EALS for this kind invitation to deliver the keynote address. And I extend my gratitude to all the speakers who have taken time out to join us today. Your unwavering commitment to fostering legal excellence, promoting justice, and cultivating leadership across East Africa is truly commendable. And I'm absolutely delighted to be part of this vital dialogue today. This is my 4th year since I've been involved with events in East Africa with the Bar Standards Board, the Bar Council, and the Ministry of Justice in the UK. And over the last 3 years, I've continuously visited Kenya, Tanzania, and last year, Uganda too, to attend the various events. And I plan to be at the East Africa Law Society conference in November, I think, which is taking place in Zanzibar. Nonetheless, moving forward, my specific focus for this keynote is a topic deeply personal and professional to me. The topic is leading across generations and borders, the future of legal leadership and the rule of law. It is important because the next generation of lawyers, whether they be barristers, advocates, solicitors, legal officers within companies, it is important that we realize the shift in norms moving forward. I often reflect on the early days of my career, moments that shaped my understanding of what leadership truly means in our profession. I still vividly recall one of my very first truly complex cross-border arbitration cases. I was a junior. It wasn't just a legal puzzle. It was an intricate tapestry woven with threads from 3 different continents, involving parties operating under laws from 2 distinct jurisdictions, and a legal team, including myself, spread across multiple time zones. The cultural nuances alone felt like navigating a minefield at times. It was, quite frankly, a baptism by fire. For me, at least, the seniors were very comfortable at it. But through that intense experience, 2 fundamental truths became glaringly clear for me. First, the immense, ever-growing complexity of our modern legal world. And second, the absolute, non-negotiable necessity for dynamic, insightful leadership to navigate it successfully. It taught me early on that a leader in law isn't just a legal expert, but a master of human dynamics and global complexities. Unless you have mastered these elements, you aren't able to lead an international team with cultural differences, language issues, time zones, etc. The team at East Africa Law Society, in their kind invitation, highlighted my background in international litigation, arbitration, and cross-border commercial and indirect tax matters, alongside my work across multiple sectors and jurisdictions. I genuinely believe that this unique vantage point offers a valuable lens through which to explore how legal leadership must not just evolve, but truly reinvent itself. In today's environment, where multiple generations are working side by side for longer careers, where technology is no longer an optional tool, but an integral partner, we cannot escape technology today, and where rapid, often unpredictable change is the only constant. My aim today is to set the tone for the entire session. I remember having pupillage where my pupil master was my 15-year senior, and the head of chambers was somebody who was 82 years old. The diversity and the age difference between us was huge, but we learned how to have our afternoon teas and discuss problems and to gain from the wisdom from all others. We will explore today how legal professionals can lead with exceptional agility, unwavering purpose, and unimpeachable integrity. Agility, purpose, and integrity are going to be the three key words that I'm going to use, all while steadfastly upholding the fundamental rule of law in an increasingly intricate, interconnected, and dynamic global landscape. This isn't just about strategy, it's about the very soul of our profession, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin by acknowledging the most pervasive force in our professional lives right now. That force is called change. The legal profession isn't merely evolving at a gentle pace, it's undergoing a fundamental metamorphosis. This isn't a challenge to be feared, but a vibrant, dynamic environment demanding innovative, forward-thinking leadership. I remember Lord Justice Newham to us at ago, and he spoke how the calculator was feared when it was first introduced because people were using Walter machines, slide rules, etc. And he said, treat technology as a tool just like calculators. It is going to help us improve, not take over what we do. Firstly, perhaps most profoundly for this discussion, we are experiencing unprecedented generational shifts. Now, truly a multi-generational question. Makes this era unique is that thanks to increased longevity, evolving societal norms around retirement, and diverse career paths, we now commonly have baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, and Generation Z, all actively working side by side in the same law firm, chambers, corporate legal departments, or public service bodies. It is truly astonishing. This is a stark contrast to previous decades where such a broad generational overlap in the active workforce was far less common. My panel member, who's in the judiciary, his Honorable Faisal, would relate to this. Even within the judiciary, we now have very young judges and those who are approaching retirement or are still engaged as consultants beyond retirement. Professionals are living longer, healthier lives, often choosing or needing to extend their working careers. Simultaneously, younger generations are often pursuing more extensive education or diverse early career experiences before settling into long-term roles. The result is a vibrant, sometimes cacophonous mix of experiences, values, communication styles, and expectations. So focus on this. Multi-generational people within a unique environment, their value in the chambers other than him. But he still maintained one because he was our generation where he was using typewriters to start with. Secondly, technological disruption is reshaping literally everything we do. Artificial intelligence, advanced automation, sophisticated big data analytics, and distributed ledger technologies like blockchain are no longer futuristic concepts. They are here, they're now, and rapidly maturing. They are profoundly enhancing efficiency, revolutionizing legal research, streamlining due diligence, and even challenging the very definition of legal work itself. For leaders, this means we must transcend being mere users of technology. We must become strategists who deeply understand its implications, its ethical boundaries, and how to harness its immense power responsibly to deliver greater values to our clients and society. It's about being technologically fluent, not just proficient. So when I speak about ethical boundaries, an element of it is AI making up precedents for us. So I recently read in the Law Society magazine in the UK that High Court judges are warning against barristers using AI and not checking the precedents that it throws at them, because some of them are just made up by AI. For leaders, this means we must transcend being mere users of technology, as I said. And thirdly, globalization has made legal issues inherently cross-border. So the days when most legal matters were comfortably confined to a single national jurisdiction are usually behind us. We routinely deal with complex international disputes, cross-border commercial transactions, and overlapping global regulatory frameworks that intertwine national laws in fascinating and challenging ways. This demands a legal leadership that thinks globally, acts locally where necessary, and navigates seamlessly across remarkably diverse legal cultures and systems. It's not just about knowing different laws, it's about understanding different ways of thinking about law. Companies, if you recall, like Uber and so forth, have transcended over across boundaries. They now exist in the vast majority of the world, and you use them seamlessly from one country to another. Bolt, for example, Uber, when I come to Africa, I use it regularly. And these companies force legal professionals and advisors to look at cross-jurisdictional legal issues. Finally, we face increasing economic and social pressures. Clients, both corporate and individual, demand more demonstrable value, greater efficiency, and a clear return on their legal investment. The traditional billable hour model is under constant scrutiny. Simultaneously, there is a growing societal expectation for our profession to embody deeper social responsibility, champion diversity, equity, and inclusion in meaningful ways, and to lead with an unimpeachable ethical compass. It is no longer enough to just do good work. We must also do good. So how do we lead effectively in this complex, multi-generational environment where professionals from such varied life stages and career experiences are collaborating daily? My first and most crucial point is this: we must move beyond simplistic generational stereotypes and fundamentally focus on shared goals. While communication styles, technological comfort, and work-life priorities may indeed differ, all professionals, regardless of age, fundamentally seek meaningful work, genuine opportunities for growth, respect for their contributions, and a sense of belonging. Effective leadership identifies and strategically builds on these universal shared aspirations, creating common ground rather than focusing on perceived divides. A powerful yet underutilized tool in this regard is mentorship. In the UK, we have a pupil master, pupil supervisor, pupil model, where without a fee, and just for the good of the profession, a pupil master would take 12 months out of its time to mentor a pupil through the career. We are all familiar with traditional mentorships just like this, where senior leaders impart their hard-won wisdom, institutional knowledge, and ethical grounding to guide and develop younger talent. This remains absolutely vital. But I strongly advocate for more reciprocal models, what we call reverse mentorship, where younger generations, often digital natives, who intuitively understand emerging technology communication paradigms, can mentor their senior colleagues. So the reverse mentorship model has to be brought in. This might be on cutting-edge legal tech, effective use of social media, or even fresh perspectives on evolving work-life integration. It's a truly two-way street for mutual learning and growth that benefits everyone involved, breaking down hierarchical barriers and fostering a deeper appreciation of diverse skills. creating truly inclusive environments is also paramount. More and more law firms are being involved in international disputes. It could be disputes in relation to family matters. It could be disputes in relation to power plants. It could be disputes in relation to mining, fishing. It could be disputes in relation to anything, just general one flower harvester selling flowers to Europe and not being able to recover the payment, etc. But this is becoming more and more common. So this inclusivity extends to adopting flexible working models, embracing remote or hybrid arrangements to accommodate varying needs and preferences, and critically, adapting our communication strategies to resonate with different generational preferences, knowing when a quick instant message suffices versus a formal memo, an email, or when a video call is more effective than an email. Many of us understand that intuitively because we were the generation of text messages and WhatsApp and so forth. But many seniors do not, and they still find a WhatsApp message very unsettling. It's about meeting people where they are professionally and technologically comfortable. Let me share a story that illustrates this. A few years ago, I was advising a client on a highly complex cross-border customs and excise dispute involving historic transactions and obscure international tax treaties. Moving from UK to the EU, of course, we've now left the EU, and then from there onwards, goods were moving to Korea. Our core team included a brilliant senior partner from a law firm instructing me, nearing retirement, but with an encyclopedic knowledge of international tax precedents. Myself, who was still learning, and a remarkably sharp junior associate who was helping the senior partner who had just completed a specialized course in AI-powered legal research. We were struggling to uncover a crucial piece of evidence buried in decades of archived corporate records across multiple jurisdictions. The senior partner had an intuition, a gut feeling based on years of experience about where that key document might be. But the sheer volume of paper and digital files made conventional search almost impossible. We're talking about 180,000 documents. This is where the generational collaboration truly shone. The junior associate proposed using a new AI-driven document review platform. Initially, there was some skepticism from that more traditional member of the team. Can a machine really find what we've missed? But the senior partner, demonstrating remarkable openness, was willing to try. The junior associate AI leveraging her deep understanding of its capabilities, while the senior partner guided the search parameters. As you know, unless we define what to search and how to search, these parameters, unless we have them clearly set out, you don't get the result that you want, just like searching on Google. With his unparalleled knowledge of specific legal context and historical patterns, within days, the AI flagged a seemingly innocuous clause in a forgotten annex from a 1980s agreement, precisely where the senior partner's intuition had pointed. This clause, when combined with another document we already possessed, provided the definitive evidence we needed. It was a moment of profound synergy, the wisdom of experience combined with the power of new technology, driven by an open-minded willingness to collaborate across the age divide. This collaboration not only saved us countless hours, but ultimately proved decisive in securing a favorable outcome for our client. The collaborative approach isn't just a nice to have, it's a strategic imperative, a competitive advantage for effective leadership in today's legal world. And this is how jurisdictions are keeping ahead of the game. My work has profoundly shaped my understanding of what it means to lead in a truly global context. It requires a distinct mindset, one that embraces ambiguity and thrives on differences. First, the global lawyer's mindset is defined by exceptional cultural intelligence. It's not just about speaking a foreign language. Yeah, I mean, that's helpful, but about understanding the subtle nuances of business etiquette, negotiation style, and social norms that vary dramatically from one jurisdiction to another. And when I come to Africa, that the young lawyers in Africa, the advocates that I meet, are masters at it. They're able to transcend between us, people who are coming from European jurisdictions, and build a bridge with the senior partners at the law firms. It's about appreciating how fundamental leads in seemingly universal work can be interpreted differently across diverse legal systems. With common law, civil law, or legal cues, and adapt your approach to build trust and achieve consensus across cultural divides. For leaders in this space, especially in international dispute resolution, the ability to manage multinational teams effectively, anticipate complex jurisdictions, and craft strategic solutions that transcend national legal boundaries is absolutely critical. Ladies and gentlemen, this often involves navigating intricate conflict of law issues, understand the peculiarities of different procedural rules in international arbitration or foreign court proceedings, and managing the logistical complexities of diverse time zones and communication preferences. It's like conducting a global orchestra where every musician plays a slightly different instrument to a unique rhythm. This brings me to the ethical imperative in a globalized world. While ethical standards are in principle universally high for our profession, their practical application can become incredibly complex, blending across jurisdictions with varying regulatory frameworks, transparency levels, and cultural norms. As leaders, we must uphold the highest standards of integrity. We've been taught that from day one, without compromise. This means combating issues like international corruption, ensure robust data privacy measures that comply with regulations like GDPR and local laws, and managing complex conflicts of interest with unwavering vigilance. Regardless of where we are operating globally, our reputation, and indeed the reputation of the profession, depends on it. Finally, technology is not just helpful, it is powerful, indispensable enabler for cross-border practice. From secure communication platforms that facilitate real-time collaboration across continents to virtual team collaboration tools that allow seamless documents sharing and joint drafting. And from sophisticated cross-jurisdictional legal research databases to AI-powered due diligence tools, technology allows us to manage vast international document sets, analyze complex data from multiple sources, and seamlessly connect with teams and clients worldwide. It effectively collapses geographical barriers, making truly global legal leadership not just aspirational, but practically feasible and incredibly efficient. Let me share another instance, this time from a high-stakes international arbitration I was involved in as a junior. This dispute concerned a major infrastructure project in a country with a very distinct legal and cultural tradition from that of our client, my client, China. Negotiations, which were crucial even during the arbitration process, were proving incredibly difficult. We were dealing with a counterparty whose communication style was indirect, focused heavily on building long-term relationships and trust before discussing granular details. Our client, on the other hand, was from a culture, UK, that prized directness, efficiency, and a rapid move to the bottom line. The culture clash was palpable, creating frustration on both sides and stalling progress. My role in that situation is more just legal strategy. I had to act as a cultural interpreter and we took time to understand the H protocols, invested in more advising on how to communicate effectively within this different number. For instance, a proposal from our side, which was concise and to the point, was perceived by the other party as abrupt and disrespectful. We learned that context and preamble are as important as the substance. So we revised our approach, ensuring that our communications began with acknowledgements of mutual respect and shared objectives, even if those objectives felt distant at the time. When I first came to East Africa, the long introductions and the prayers struck me by surprise, and I soon learned that they were a norm. And you had to talk about this phrase that is mostly discussed. If you want to go far, go together, but if you want to go fast, go alone. I liked these kind of approaches,
Sure.
and it enhanced my cultural understanding. We held more informal meetings with the Chinese client, focused on Chinese counterparty, focused on understanding their broader concerns, not just the legal specifics. This shift in our leadership approach, moving beyond purely legal tactics to embrace profound cultural intelligence, eventually broke the deadlock. We found common ground, not just in legal terms, but in shared business objectives and a mutual desire for a fair outcome. It taught me that sometimes the most effective legal leadership isn't found in a law book, but in the ability to understand and empathize with different worldviews to find pathways to resolution. Agility. So these three words that I used, I'm just coming back to them. Agility is no longer a buzzword. It's a survival imperative. It's the profound capacity to adapt quickly to new technologies, to pivot deftly when legal frameworks shift unexpectedly, and to respond proactively to evolving client demands. It's about fostering a culture of continuous learning, curiosity, and rapid innovation within our teams, anticipating change rather than simply reacting to its aftermath. So not just being defensive. An agile leader is like a skilled sailor, constantly adjusting the sails to the shifting winds, always moving forward. Second word that I used to start with, purpose. Purpose goes beyond mere profit generation. It's about leading with a clear why, a profound commitment to contributing to justice, to the betterment of society, and to fostering sustainable business practices. This resonates particularly strongly with the younger generations entering our profession, who increasingly seek not just a job, but meaningful work with tangible impact and a clear alignment with their values. Leaders must articulate this purpose, embody it, and inspire it in others. It's about building a legacy that extends beyond billable hours. Finally, the word integrity was used right at the start. That remains, as it always had been, the absolute, non-negotiable, non-fungible foundation of all legal leadership. In an increasingly transparent and scrutinized world where information spreads at the speed of light, our ethical compass must be unwavering and visible. Integrity is the bedrock upon which trust is built. Trust with clients, trust with colleagues, trust with the judiciary, very important, and crucially, trust with the wider public. Without integrity, agility becomes recklessness and purpose becomes hollow. Crucially, all of these pillars, agility, purpose, and integrity, converge on the enduring paramount importance of the rule of law. In a world defined by rapid technological change, complex geopolitical shifts, and sometimes unsettling uncertainties, the rule of law remains the indispensable foundation for stable societies, fair economies, and the protection of fundamental human rights. That's not what we can say about today's world, by the way, but nonetheless, we live in hope. It's the very framework that allows for justice, predictability, and order amidst potential chaos. It's the non-negotiable anchor in a stormy sea. Apologies for the sail and sea-like examples, but I am at the seaside.
Sure.
As legal leaders, we're not just practitioners, we are, in very real sense, the guardians of the rule of law. We have a unique, profound responsibility to protect, promote, and uphold it, both within our national borders and on the international stage. This means actively speaking out against any challenges to judicial independence. We should never tolerate any compromise on that, advocating tirelessly for fair and equitable legal systems, and working relentlessly to ensure universal access to justice for all, regardless of their status or means. We must be champions for transparency and accountability. To truly secure the future of our profession and to ensure it remains a force for good, we must actively invest in developing future leaders who embody these qualities. This means fostering environments that encourage continuous leadership and intellectual curiosity, exposing professionals to diverse and challenging experiences, including international secondments, and critically placing a premium on the development of soft skills, emotional intelligence, collaborative problem solving, adaptive thinking, and powerful communication. We must build leaders who are not only brilliant technically, but also wise, empathetic, and inspiring. In closing, we stand at a truly fascinating and undeniably challenging juncture in the history of our profession. The legal landscape is being profoundly reshaped by the unique dynamics of a truly multi-generational workforce, by the relentless and accelerating pace of technological advancements, and by the undeniable reality of an interconnected global landscape where borders are increasingly porous to legal issues. Our collective ability to lead across generations and borders with agility, purpose, and unshakable integrity, always underpinned by our unwavering commitment to the rule of law, will define our success and our relevance in the years and decades to come. This is not a time for apprehension or clinging on to outdated models. Just finishing, a few minutes, under 1 minute, please. Clinging on to outdated models, but for immense opportunity to redefine what legal professional leadership means. I encourage each of you, as you participate in the rest of this insightful webinar, to reflect deeply on your own leadership journey, to embrace these fundamental shifts, and to proactively shape the future of our notable profession. Be curious, be courageous, and be collaborative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Hamid. We are extremely grateful and delightful that you're able to give such a keynote speech. We have key takeaways, which are agility, purpose, and integrity. Those are core from the speech. And to be guardians of the rule of law, to fight to ensure that the law is upheld and work with the judiciary to ensure that works. Your keynote also talks about young people and how working together as multi-generational people, we can be able to solve disputes. You highlighted different ways in which that was done through an AI program. And it just shows that if we work together, if we look at our strengths and use our wisdom and our courage, we can be able to even resolve most of the complex cases that we come to. You also highlighted on reverse mentorship, where cutting edge technology can be used as a way in which the young people can mentor the older people to understand how to use technology better. And we also looked at understanding social norms when you look at cross-border legal practice, where you gave your example. And it just shows us that for us to be a global village, to work together to resolve disputes, we have to understand each other, both generationally and through cross-culturally in different countries. Thank you so much for that insightful keynote speech. We can see the participants. There are a lot of participants talking about how it was insightful, and we are grateful for sparing your time to share your insights with us. Without further ado, we would like to go to the next speaker, who is none other than His Worship, Faisal Umar, who talks about the betterment, who is talking about mentorship and how we can be able to motivate and understand how to be better leaders as young lawyers. In regards to His Worship, he was an assistant director at Law Development Center in Uganda and is now the Deputy Registrar at the Judiciary of the High Court in Uganda. His Worship, Mr. Faisal Umar.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have me this afternoon. I feel delighted to speak to East Africa. Good afternoon, East Africa and beyond.
Good afternoon.
It gives me great pleasure to once again interact with the future. The future of the legal profession is is the people I'm going to speak to. And I come to you with a lot of delight to continue with what is so dear to us in terms of engaging ourselves to understand our skills, but also to build the agility that has already been underscored. I don't know whether I can be seen where I am.
Yes,
There's
you
a lot
can.
of light.
Yes, you can.
I'll just go with that. That is what is possible for now. I want to thank the previous speaker for the able and candid conversation. I just want to break it down into what he has discussed. Bridging generations that are now in the legal profession. We have a multi-faced workforce, as he has stated. We have the baby boomers. They are not about to leave the center stage. They are here to stay until when God calls them. We have no retirement age. Even those that are sent to the bench when they retire or in the civil service, they are forced back into private practice and they find space because the court is their court, is their playground. We have the Generation X. These ones are born, they are quite adaptive and pragmatic, and they are now in senior management positions. They are also very possessive of their spaces. They don't want people who bypass into their spaces without their agility and being called. We have the millennials. These ones are 1981 and 1996. I follow here. They are driven by purpose. They like building collaborations. They are flexible, and they were shaped by the financial crisis of 2008. They have some bit of moral fiber, but they are also not so easy to. They are impatient. They're a bit impatient with what comes on, and some of them have been hit by arrivalism. They think they have arrived. Now we have the Gen Z. I think Brownie, you fall here. You savvy tech, you understand technology. You have a language that is not conventional. You have emojis. You communicate through some drawings, some sort of yo, you say yo, and it means a lot to you, and we respect that. Now, these digital natives, who are the Gen Z, they are socially cautious about who they relate with. They don't like outdated systems. They are impatient. They don't want any delays, and they are driven by authenticity. Every time you tell them to do anything, they punch onto the media, they punch onto all the social media platforms, the AI platforms, and they can easily find what to get. This broad section of players come off with broadened skill sets that are needed in the current workspace, but also they have a dynamic perception of the environment in which you operate. So as people are not going to go away anytime soon, we have to be purpose-driven in our diversity. The legal profession must embrace this diversity in a strategic advantage to attract each other's skill set and complement each other, as opposed to rubbishing and washing down each other's contribution. The Gen Z AI-driven and adaptive tools, I has already talked about reverse coaching. If in your workspace, your senior does not appreciate technology, don't simply laugh at them or castigate them for failure to adopt to what you know. Simply let's uplift each other, let's empower each other, and there's nothing that stops a Gen Z from teaching a baby boomer about what is trending and how the space is changing. And there's nothing, if you attentively listen in carefully, without prejudice and without judging, we shall be able to have different mentorship roles and leadership spaces that uplift each other within the emerging cross-generational divide. The 2019 African Dialogue on Justice Conference, which was the regional forum on judicial exchange of technology and integration of ICT in adjudication processes, adopted the need for closing down many of the brick and mortar court halls in terms of pre-trial processes to allow online facilitated filing and hearing of applications and all suits, and allow only people to appear in court when there is a need. So that has had a very big impact on the delivery of justice system across the African continent. Uganda has adopted the electronic court case management system, ICMIS. Kenya is also running a similar workout. Rwanda already has ICMIS. Recently I was in South Africa and I saw they have what they call court online in Pretoria, Joburg, and Cape Town. All these judicial reforms tend to show that the target is to ensure inclusivity and accessibility. With the increasing use of technology and powered spaces and adaptability, when you look at the statistics, over 20 million citizens of Africa have a smartphone. That means they are able to exchange an electronic message every day. This means that ICT is now becoming part and parcel of the means through which we deliver justice. So, whereas back in the days, some people refused to use computers and they had a retention of the role of a stenographer secretary in the offices. The role of the stenographer secretary in the current offices, wherever, irrespective of where you serve, be it in the judiciary, private practice, in the private parastatal or public parastatal, is ceasing. Every one of us here is a stenographer secretary. You only trust what you have typed by yourself, and you have all these AI platforms that you subscribe to, Killbot, ChatGPT, and all these other platforms that enable us to enrich whatever we are drawing and whatever we are coming up with. This has got an impact on how leadership comes through in a way that we must balance between originality, ingenuity, and plagiarism. And for a baby boomer who wants a textbook, you must adjust your leadership skills to know that the Gen Z will extract for you an extract from a textbook or a conglomerate of other textbooks, but also present cogent passages for reading that have a bearing on the subject under consideration. So as the physical libraries crumble and e-libraries emerge, we must broaden our spectrum to be receptive of the diverse platforms in which data is collected, stored, and exchanged. This way we shall not have issues of supervision, where supervisors are castigating others of not doing the work because they want you to come with a heavy Black's-Law dictionary or Archibald and all these encyclopedias on pleadings and so on and so forth. So the ways in which technology is affecting or shaping legal practice in Africa are key considerations if we are to look at the change in the terrain of leadership. Statistics from Nigeria, for example, suggest that there is what they call law pavilion. Law pavilion is one of the tools they are using to disseminate and digest legal information and cases. In Uganda, we've had, and Uganda and Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, we have Tanzanian Lee, Kenyan Lee. We are part of the Lee family, the African Legal Institute. And when you look at how cases are being reported time and again, there is a change in the leadership within the judiciary and a change within the rotational basis that the Gen Zs are now becoming managing partners, as the previous speaker said. They've taken roles that require them to stay longer than their age. So gone are the days where the perception was that the older person is the one to be on top. We must be ready to deliver ourselves to our leaders irrespective of their age, and we concentrate on the role they are playing and the purpose that drives them undertake the role that they are playing. Brownie, I want to speak into the need to fuse the tension, the generational tension, if we are to be leaders that move through the needle with uplifting each other. 70% of Africa's population is under 35 years. The future of the law lies in your hands. Many of them have studied so highly. They've got qualifications in spaces that were previously not taught in the law schools. Back in the days, the degree had no specialty. It was the plain LLB, and the courses were largely preparing you to offer legal advisory services in respect of what was available at the time. The emerging dispute terrain has changed. Airspaces have come through. FDI, foreign direct trade, and foreign investments, attraction of foreign investment. Africa is now a destination for foreign investors. So as the Gen Z particularly embrace these spaces and where they are communicating across borders, digital tools and purpose-driven conversations must start between the generations that are within the workspace to ensure coherence and mutual respect. The 11th generation is representing a cross-generational divide that is often fueled by misconception, lack of proper guidance, undetermined priorities, and resistance to change. If we are to be leaders that match the fourth industrial revolution, in any case, we are likely, I anticipate a likelihood to jump the fifth industrial revolution, and we end up in the sixth industrial revolution. Blockchain technology, digital currencies, tokenized payments are now coming through. Nobody is no longer going to pay you fiat money. I can confess I spend a month without touching $1 million in my hands, but I keep spending off the digital platforms. So the mode of reality is that payment trends are changing and the mode of delivery of services evolving, and it is transboundary, transnational, and irresistible. This requires, therefore, a concerted effort that seeks to bridge the gap between the Gen Z, the millennials, and the baby boomers, and accepting the social challenges that come with age without compromising our integrity and the advantages that come with diversity. This would necessitate open mentorship and open dialogue to see that we do not end up into mutual frustration and missed opportunities, but we ensure that we don't stagnate legal evolution and move as a team. There is resistance versus renewal with generational dynamic teachers and the rigor that comes with societal standing and rating. The societies in Africa, you've got to stop laughing at people whom you think are not yet where you are, but be a bridge that helps them to get to where you are. This would enable them to adopt quickly to these digital tools and intelligence, just as we were all forced to switch to other platforms when the world almost came to a standstill under the global COVID-19 pandemic. Adequate professional etiquette is not to be compromised. Courtesy and professionalism in courtrooms and when you're speaking to your seniors and your juniors is not to be compromised. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to look down on anybody to be a leader. A leader inspires, a leader supports, a leader grows, and a leader facilitates others to get where they are. You must communicate your terms in clear and no uncertain terms and with certainty. And you can still mentor without admonishing. You can correct somebody who is in wrong without breaking them. I need to talk briefly into adaptability and using young leaders as as agents of change. As Africa, I've already given you the statistics. Young lawyers across Africa are becoming judicial officers. They are becoming central decision-making personnel in different realms, and they are occupying all these spaces. The old people have kept these spaces for you to come and occupy. Can we further the purpose as opposed to self-aggrandizing and arrivalism and thinking that since we've now taken over the spaces, it is payback time? We are holding these spaces under the principle of intergenerational equity. There is a set of young people that are coming before you. Today, you're proud to be called Gen Zs. We don't know what they'll call themselves, but they are coming, and they are large in number. They are larger than you. They are going to be highly sophisticated, and they have a share on what you hold today. So let's institutionalize the practice of keeping spaces for others within the legal profession. Otherwise, we shall sell off ourselves, and the respect we used to earn in the public and the mutual trust we used to have for each other and respect will wither away. Once it withers, our profession is an art like any other art. The growing numbers have demystified the previous myth that law is a science. Law is not a science. It's still people applying the law who are inculcating the aspect of a science. And if we don't do that, people will find other mechanisms to bypass your services, and the industry will go to the trenches that we don't want to think about. So what defines a leader in 2025 and beyond? A leader in 2025 must be alive to the socio-economic needs of the people they seek to serve. These people are facing challenges that are not traditional like it was in the past. In the past, they talked about the wars, diseases, they talked about small land quarrels. Now people are faced with issues to do with economic instability, white collar crime, transboundary robbery in terms of computers that is facilitated by AI and computers and internet, talent retention. Young people are not easy to retain. You keep jumping from one thing to another. You're not willing to settle to do anything. And even when you get the opportunities, you cry for them before you get them. When you get them, you cease to value them. You start focusing on what next. This has brought issues with the people who are supervising you. They are at crossroads with understanding who you really want to be. Technological changes, technology keeps evolving. And if technology keeps evolving, we must be adaptable and shift to meet the client's expectations. Many times, many of you, when you find something that works for you, you don't want to leave it. Leadership must shift beyond the traditional setting to now focus on the command and control models. Adaptive leadership, emphasizing resilience and agility, has already been explored by the keynote speaker. Navigating complex situations with a sense of reason and application of the law. The law does not apply in the vacuum. Many of you are applying the law without reason, without meeting the social realities of the people you seek to serve. We must also create environments where making a mistake is a learning curve. Now I'm speaking to the supervisors. Can you let these young people do mistakes and you correct them without admonishing them? Let's turn their mistakes into opportunities for learning and harnessing their skills for better performance, as opposed to simply letting them off, abusing them, making them feel less self-worthy, and making them feel like they have not learned the law the way you think they should. Back are the days when people used to question, which law school did you go to? That is a tale of the past. If they've qualified, please nurture them. The teachers have taught them and have sent them to you to give them a space to better themselves, not to question them in a way that breaks them. There is a paradigm shift in adaptability and emotional intelligence leadership. As leaders, what is your emotional intelligence? Are you encompassing self-worthiness and self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation? Are you capable of managing their expectations? Irrespective of where you serve, if you're a top-tier leader, a middle-tier leader, or at the low-fit-end leader, there are people that look up to you. Do you have self-intelligence and emotional intelligence to be able to efficiently and effectively communicate in these demanding legal environments that we serve in? We must enhance trustworthy and true communication, team cohesion, and practical resolution of emerging disputes without escalating them beyond repair and reproach. I need to emphasize that as individuals overcome burnouts because of the so many, they are partying, they are working in the law industry, they are facing social demands from their families, they are also finding families and suitors. Are we supporting them to achieve all these within the means that they have vis-a-vis the social pressures? Yesterday, I was reading at a study that is ongoing at Makerere University. Somebody is saying self-arrivalism. I think, Brown, you can help. Is it somebody, the concept of a Benz, a new lawyer, and how has he phrased the topic?
It's saying
I think
how
I beg your pardon?
how lawyers young lawyers when they get a bench they have arrived, how that affects the social strata.
So the social strata has put the lawyer well up there, but what is the reality? So can we have these midweek meetings for mentorship to speak about how you've broken through as a senior partner and how you've arrived to where you are, and you enable these young people to be able to be without necessarily sending them to the wolves. That's where they get involved in people who have white collar crimes, and because they are lawyers, then they are stealing money and channeling it through their accounts, and they end up committing offenses under the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing. But also as young leaders, this aspect of quick arrivalism and thinking things will come on a silver platter must stop. You must work down your way. You must work your way from down to the top. Nothing comes at the mid of any journey, except if you have been able to inculcate it from the design, from the onset. So we must have self-regulation. Young lawyers, keep yourselves safely. HIV/AIDS is still here. Don't drink excessively. Don't over party. Don't talk about everything that there is that you've seen. Your parents have not sent you to become bloggers, to give opinion on everything. That one is killing your esteem, but it is also exposing you, and it is making you volatile to abuse and improper use of social media platforms. Beware or across the board of hackers and identity theft. Because once your identity is stolen and somebody misuses it, to plug it off yourself when it has gone viral will be difficult, and people are unforgiving. They might end up relating you with a past event which is not true. Mentorship as a trait that moves the needle. We must focus on personalized guidance tailored to individual needs, fostering strength of each millennial divide, and without breaking down each other, but addressing our weaknesses, creating supporting environments, and allowing experimental growth, integrating experimental growth in the reflective practice. I think Ghana is leading in this area. You will see it in my paper. And South Africa and the Ghanaian Bar Association have got a mentorship program where they talk about these things. So Brownie, as I end, I need to highlight a key trait of effective mentorship program like this one. And I want to thank the East African Society for convening us here today to talk about these issues.
Sure.
These are very critical issues, and some people have failed to get somebody to open up. I want to challenge all of you as I challenge myself. Do you have a mentor? Do you have somebody you're looking up to? When I was growing up, I had some people I admired. I didn't meet them physically then. Some God has enabled me to meet them, but I interacted with them through their writings. I interacted them through observation from a distance, how they conducted themselves. I interacted with them through reading about their arguments in court and how they had driven home a particular point. I ended up picking their diction, their syntax and sentence construction, and it helped me. One of them is Nelson Nerima. I really looked up to him, how he taught, how he delivered his lectures, and how agile and articulate he was. And I think when it was my turn to teach, I excelled because I had somebody who was my mentor. So we must have personal mentors. These personal mentors offer personalized guidance to us. They help us to set goals, and they help us to have a sense of accountability. Have you set your goals? Are you accountable to somebody? Do you have somebody who shares in your happiness and in your plight, whom you tell that this year I'm targeting A, B, C, D, and you tick the boxes and you cross what you've not been able to achieve, and they pray with you and they tell you, don't worry, tomorrow is a better day. Do you have somebody who taps on your back and says, Brownie, all will be well. You've achieved this, and I know you can. So we need such kind of people in our way. Supportive learning environments. We need supportive learning environments. Creating safe spaces for mistakes that allows people to take risks. These young people are risk takers, not because they are prone to risk, but their brains are overworking and they have a lot of things they want to experiment. Can you senior lawyers please allow them to take the risks if they are legitimate risks, and you experiment with them, and then you undertake a reflective session to say, we did A, B, C, D, we were able to achieve D, and when we do A, B, C, D, X, then we shall be able to achieve Y. Practical development skills, we must teach ourselves outside the law. In my current workspace and in the spaces that I sit in, I've been driven there not by the law. I've been driven there by skills I learned outside the law school. Many of you are throwing yourselves around. I have a law degree. You know I am a lawyer. But you lack the soft skills that manage public affairs. So you need to teach yourselves about public administration. You lack soft skills that relate to management of projects. You need to conduct your life as a project with set goals, set inputs, set outputs, and a logo on a logo frame where you're working with a purpose and a clear direction. Some of you have arrived, graduated from the law school, you're just living, picking money here and there, and you don't want to concentrate on what builds onto the country. Remember, you're no longer regarded as children. You now have a role to contribute to the development of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, East Africa, Africa at large. As we embrace the African Free Continental Trade Area, as going on, what are you taking in the market? How are you positioning yourself to fit into the next top 100 lawyers that will be short pullers within the legal industry and service providers within the East African, within the African Free Continental market? You know that South Africa is part of the BRICS. Many other regional trade groups are coming to partner with Africa and East Africa at large. Tomorrow, East Africa may be admitted in the BRICS. Are we going to remain a dumping zone? Are we applying our law that facilitates value addition and ensuring that we have a global share on the market, or we still want to trade in raw coffee beans as our grandfathers used to trade in, and smuggled precious minerals from our countries without value addition? Networking and career activities. How many career activities do you participate in? For yourself, are you an admirable career giver? Can people look up to you of a nursery school in your village and say, we want to invite advocate so and so and speak to us? Are you part of the mothers union? Are you part of the fathers union? What is your contribution in terms of career guidance? So as we see career guidance, let us also return, because the Lord says the hand that gives is the hand that retains. Find some people within your reach and you speak to them and you mentor them. Then the world will be gracious to mentor you. Collaboration with academic institutions, this is very key because it helps to bridge the gap. And I thank the Uganda Law Society and East African Law Society for coming up with these initiatives that seek to close the bridge between the generations that are in our workspace. And of course, adaptability, being enthusiastic about what lies ahead of us, and surrendering ourselves to serve will make us great people within our respective leadership spaces. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. You have really hit the nail in regards to mentorship, talking about it being dual kind of relationship, whereby we have mentorship from the older people and then also the young people, taking into consideration their skills and using them to better each other. For the record, the topic was the Makerere topic, research topic is status symbolization and professional identity, exploring the role of Mercedes-Benz ownership among Ugandan lawyers, by Paul Chigula. So that means what you're saying is true, Your Worship, in regards to how do we carry ourselves, and do we have to go so far that for me to get a Benz, I'll have to get into white collar crime or internet crime or any other crime, or do shady deals? Yet we as lawyers should protect our profession. We as young people should have integrity and ensure that in everything that we're doing it rightly and within the law, and not be so money hungry. Thank you for sharing insights in regards to mentorship, where most people keep saying, I need a mentor, or maybe my mentor doesn't have enough time for me. And you said something very profound where you said, read about your mentor. So I don't need to physically meet the mentor, but through their writings, through their arguments in court, even if you know they're going to court, you go and sit in court, it is free. You sit and you listen and see how they compose themselves and submit in court, and then use that to develop you. So you don't need to maybe physically meet them, but through looking at the different spaces that they're in, you can be able to improve yourself as a young person. I like that you talked about transboundary and transnational litigation and legal practice, and using digital tools that are purpose-driven. And finally, highlighting in regards to Uganda and the judiciary, the ECMIS, and the different technological aspects that are making our judiciary better in terms of giving legal services. So without further ado, we're going to have our final speaker, who is Advocate Angelista Daudi Nation, who I think is the youngest on this team. We're extremely proud of you. She's a practicing advocate in Tanzania and the founding and managing partner of Africorp Attorneys, a leading law firm specializing in corporate, regulatory, and commercial legal services. She holds a master's degree in law, IT and e-commerce from the University of Southampton, and a Bachelor of Laws from the University of Dar es Salaam. I'm an alumni of University of Dar es Salaam, so when I see you on LinkedIn, I am extremely proud. With over a decade, yeah, With over a decade of legal experience, Ms. Nashun is recognized for her expertise in corporate and civil litigation, regulatory compliance, and advising businesses in highly regulated sectors. Under her leadership, Africa Attorneys has grown into a full-service firm with a strong reputation for client-focused legal solutions and professional mentorship. She currently serves as a board member at the Tanzania Women Lawyers Association. The association is formed to advocate for civil rights, social justice, transparency, integrity, respect, gender equity, good governance, and accountability. She is a passionate advocate for gender equity and is the founder of the She Attorney Initiative, which supports and promotes young women in the legal profession. Her work continues to inspire and shape the next generation of legal professionals in Tanzania and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome with me, Advocate Angelina, talking about bridging generations, leading across age, values, and expectations, exploring how generational identity shapes work styles, motivation, and communication, how legal leaders can bridge these differences to build stronger teams. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Brownie, and really the keynote speaker and the previous speaker. It's been such an insightful session. And with a lot that has been said, I was actually wondering, do I really need to say anything, or we just move into the Q&A? So perhaps I'll maybe structure my presentation in diving deeper into these generations that we're talking about. We've heard a lot about what is happening technology-wise, diversity, culture, and whatnot. And if we need to bridge this generation, in my view, and which is going to be the focus of my brief presentation, is that we really need to know who these generations are. When we talk about baby boomers, when we talk about Gen X, when we talk about millennials and Gen Z, what really enforces their work ethic, their styles, how do they operate? And I think for me as a leader, in order to lead, you really need to know who you're leading. So it is going to be a topic of endless sessions if we are not able to actually dive deep into understanding what makes a baby boomer in terms of work style, in terms of expectations, if you like, in terms of even characteristics, so to speak. So in looking into those groups along those areas, you are able then, if you want to bridge them or get more out of them, you are able then to say, if I need to operate in a setting where all these 4 generations exist, there's a way that I need to structure my organization with tools and skills that supports all of them in collaborating and working together so that we can get more out of them. So let's start with baby boomers, for example. The baby boomers we're talking about are really what you would call in our legal profession senior lawyers. These are lawyers who we found them in business, we found them leading institutions in the legal profession, and you would say these are lawyers who have over maybe 25 years of experience in the legal profession. And then you have Gen X. These are people who, in the legal profession today, you will say their years of experience span over 15 years or 20 years, plus or minus. Then you come to the millennials, who are the Angelistas of today. These are, say, lawyers who have been in the legal profession for 10 years plus, or some even spanning maybe 8 years, 10, 15, plus or minus. And then you have the Gen Z, which is a very, in my view, an interesting group. And I really have so much fun with them when we interact. These are lawyers who have, say, 1 year of experience and probably spans up to 8, close to 10. Now, these individuals, in their very nature, are very different. Not only by looking at the technology and what has shaped us, but they're different in terms of how they think, how they look at things, how they work, and how they relate to each other. Not that each group is not important, but each group brings in the profession a very key values and key work ethic, if you like, and key, I would say, characteristics that you need in an organization to really thrive. So baby boomers, for example, these, as you all know, they're traditional. And so basically their work style is structured. You know, these are not people who you would want to move all the time. You know, these are not people who you say, okay, today you're in the village, so sit where you are. If there's a network somewhere, connect to your computer and maybe join a session online. You do not expect that flexibility, if you like, from a baby boomer. These are also people who you would say they prefer more face-to-face and personal relationships as compared, say, to Gen Z, to a Gen Z, for example. And that is why when it comes to communication, for example, if you join a baby boomer and a Gen Z, that difference is going to be on the face of it, in the sense that while a Gen Z would just say, okay, I'm in a position where I can't meet personally, but can we arrange a call? Can we do a quick video call? Can I share my document with you over the phone and then maybe we can discuss? A baby boomer will be, no, I do not think that will work entirely for me. And so these groups, if you want to really take more out of them, you really need to make sure that you create an environment that supports them both to work together. Again, another difference, for example, when it comes to expectation, people or lawyers who are from the baby boomer generation, they will most likely prefer to emphasize on job security and stability. While if you look at Gen Z, for example, millennials, these are very fast-paced, and they will love anything that moves fast. And really, flexibility is key to them as opposed to, job security or stability and the like. Then there's millennials, for example. Millennials and Gen X and Gen Z, for example, are really close in terms of how they work or in terms of how they approach the legal profession. And I think mainly because while technology came and found millennials in it, the Gen Z were born when technology is already there. So there's a bit of tech savvy and highly collaborative skills in the group of millennials. And then when they meet Gen Z, it becomes a very smooth and soft relationship. But that is why then I think brings in another group that we left, which is Gen X. Why am I saying that? Gen X, okay, apologies. My partner just came in and gave me a proud of you note. This is the collaboration that we were actually talking about. So you have groups in a setting where it becomes easier when you have all of them together, but that also poses a challenge. You really need to have certain skills that actually brings them together for them to feel comfortable, to collaborate, but at the same time engage. So like I said in the beginning, I manage Africa-Patonians. And in this firm, I manage 3 groups of the 4 groups. So I have a Gen X who are way senior than I am. And then I have millennials who are the likes of us. And then I have the majority of Gen Z. And how we do it in our firm, what we do is to create that environment, we started what we call Teach Me Something New Today, which is like our weekly session. And it runs from top down, which means even if you're an intern, you'll get a moment where you need to teach a senior partner in a firm something new. And that can span over any topic. That way, we are able to say, okay, I have learned how to use or explore ChatGPT today. A senior lawyer who wouldn't know how to work around the computer and maybe presentation and even PowerPoint, for example, having an environment where all these groups are together and they are working together, it brings then an environment where everybody is comfortable to speak, to learn, but also to mentor. Now, because of time, because I've already explained the intricacies of these groups, perhaps we move into another question, I think, which is also very key, I think, in this discussion, and that is whether there's a case really for bridging these new relations in the legal profession. I would say mine is straight yes. And thanks to the previous speaker, they have really dived into saying there's a very good case to bridge these generations if you really want your organization or if you want our legal profession to thrive. A lot has been spoken about technology. A lot has been spoken about varied clientele. A lot has been spoken also about clients' expectations. All these demands are changing, and because of this change and because of this diversity, you really need all these groups together to make the most of it. For example, a client who is a baby boomer, we find it very difficult to work with a Gen Z lawyer, in the sense that the culture, the way they think and the way they operate most likely are going to be different. But then that is also an opportunity for them use a baby boomer in an organization to relate well with a group that they are very comfortable to relate with. And also, in some instances where you need to use platform, and I'll also refer to our firm as well, Africa Patronies, at some point we came to learn that Gen Z and millennials are even very good at using and optimizing social medias in the profession. So you rarely find a baby boomer or a Gen X in our firm posting anything on our socials or on our professional platforms. It's going to be really them, because they really know how to work with these technologies. They really know how to create content in a way that is more visual than as opposed to a baby boomer or a Gen X person. So a case is there. And because a case is there, then we cannot avoid but really dive into how then are we going to do that. And I think I saw a question in the chat group asking then, okay, so how are these organizations, the legal organization, going to bridge this generation to maximize their output and the potential that they bring? And I'll mention, a lot has been again spoken, so I'll mention just a few. And I think for me, one will be to really increase a space where we encourage adaptation. That technology is there, and these groups are there, and the tools are there. Then it's really high time that we really adapt them and use them to our advantage. When you see a Gen X or Gen Z being very quick and very fast, it's not to your point then to start saying, you just came to the profession just yesterday. No, you really need to develop your active skills, listen to them, because they know what they are bringing to the table. And when you listen, you gain more. At the end of the day, you also learn. And that is also another point where I think the keynote speaker spoke about, reverse mentorship. So then that also comes in, because you're learning from a Gen Z, and a Gen Z is learning from you, because you have an input also that will benefit that Gen Z and will be a takeaway in that scenario. But also there are also listening skills, I think. I think senior lawyers or baby boomers have, I think because of their traditional way of doing things from time immemorial, their sense of actively listening would be higher more than a Gen Z or a millennial, in the sense that even with the use of technology and everything, that means most times you'll find a Gen Z or a millennial easily distracted with these gadgets, or so to speak. Now, when you have a baby boomer and Gen Z in a mix, teaching them or showing them how to listen actively is also a plus. It's something that a Gen Z or a millennial also can take away. And then at the end of the day, when they collaborate, whatever that is missed by the baby boomer then is gained by a Gen Z. Also, I think for me will be creating some level of workplace flexibility. If you want to really get more out of these groups, and you've already understood how they work, how they deliver, their work styles, then you understand that Gen Z will love to be more flexible, or a millennial will love to, once in a while, you know, work half day, for example. Yeah, and using the tools to really deliver, but at the same time, getting their own balance in life. And while a baby boomer perhaps would want just a physical office to come to the office and whatnot. So you need to be in a way flexible to allow them both to be able to deliver in a way that benefits the organization, but at the same time doesn't harm or I think the better word will be probably, I wouldn't use discourage, but it will be a way that you really negatively impact their delivery or, you know, the way they deliver their work. So I think there's a case there. But also, I think it's also high time to create cross-generational mentorship. This has been spoken by previous speakers as well, and I cannot emphasize this enough. I've seen it working in our firm. I've seen it working in some other organization where this is encouraged. And it's very important. Before I joined Africa Attorneys, I worked in firms, law firms, as an associate, where the majority were baby boomers and very few millennials when I was starting. And because of that, then I think I am more better placed to take a little from the baby boomers and then take a little from Gen X, and now, luckily, from Gen Z as well. So I think creating this cross-generational mentorship is also really key if we want to really tap into what these groups or these generations bring. I think there's also a case to continue encouraging learning amongst all these generations, in the sense that baby boomers have something to learn from millennials and Gen Z. Gen X as well has a lot to learn from you know, Gen Z and millennials, and reversely, these are the two groups, Gen Z and millennials, to really learn from the senior group, which is Gen X and baby boomers. And I think also another thing that I think I need to speak on is really fostering inclusivity. I think the traditional lawyer, and has spoken by his worship, is that there's always been that sense of shutting down the young lawyers. And I think we look at them in the sense that they come fast, they come ambitious, but also we need to understand that the market dynamics are changing. You know, the legal profession is faced by different other tools that were not there in the beginning. And so instead of bashing them away, really it's high time that we include and have them feel as part of this profession that we call ours. Because traditionally we have always bragged that it's only for, you know, it's a traditional profession. And because of that, the new generation doesn't feel much welcomed. And that is why you find a lot of young lawyers really rallying amongst themselves, as opposed to really interacting with the baby boomers, for example. And I think in our country, the Law Society was trying at some point to see if they can create some events even where you have baby boomers who are like very senior and traditional lawyers interact with the younger generation. But that has always been a challenge because they don't see eye to eye. And I think it needs an extreme, I think, perhaps an initiative for people to really bring these groups together, because there's a lot to be learned. There's a lot to take away from each other. And I think also, perhaps another thing is really to encourage celebrating this diversity. Other than when you have baby boomers or senior lawyers talking about how these young people are using or reproducing stuff from ChatGPT and whatnot, I think there's also a case to celebrate who they are, appreciating what they know and we don't, and really bring their ideas on board and see where we can meet in the middle and see where we can learn from each other for the betterment of our profession. And so for me, I think also if we are able to do that, I think our organization, our legal organization, not just profession, our clientele, even society will benefit, so to speak, because then we're interacting with these people on a daily basis. And that, for me, will be all, unless I leave it to you, because I see even the time is really running. So yeah, I'll wait for questions if there's any. So back to you, Brownie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angelista. Thank you for highlighting in regards to a deeper analysis on the different generations that are there with baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Zs. I like the fact that you talked about a practical thing that many of the lawyers can put in their law firm, those who are at managerial level, in regards to teach me something new today. I think that's a brilliant initiative. Well done on that. And I like that you talked about fostering inclusivity and celebrating diversity and encouraging learning from various aspects. It doesn't have to be top down or up down. It's just learning as much as possible. Thank you so much. At this juncture, I'm going to read some of the questions that have come in. We have some comments, basically thanking you for the presentation. And yeah, so we'll start with, I think from Hamad's presentation, Peter Wangudu Muthoni talked about how can legal organizations effectively bridge the communication and work style differences between traditionalist lawyers, Gen X partners, millennial associates, and Gen Z new hires to create cohesive leadership structures that leverage each generation's strength. No, that's for you, Mr. Hamad. You can, I'm going to read.
Right. I think, Peter, I've already answered this question in the chat, but I'll repeat for the sake of for the discussion. I think the answer is in training, not only top down, but also bottom up. As Angelista and Judge Faisal has stated, that we can see intricate goodness in all generations. Of course, junior person may be very good at AI, but learning the key tactical strategic issues in relation to law, which the senior partner in a law firm will already have. Just to add to what I've already said in relation to training, which is top to bottom, but also bottom up, what I want to emphasize is the beauty of being in a law firm where you have this cross-generational presence. I note when I travel around in Africa and also in Asia that there is a great tendency to create your own law firm very quickly. 2, 3, 4 years down the line, people tend to start their own law firm, and you meet individuals who are very junior in the profession but are going solo or going into the game with another equally junior partner. That takes away the training element of things, and I think advocates should be willing to slog it a bit more with a senior just for the sake of learning. Of course, the earning and the income is low in that instance, but the learning is incredibly high, and vice versa. You're then also able to teach what you know as the junior lawyer in technology, in terms of approaching things in a new way, as Angelis said, using in ways that we don't know. As if Brownie, you're frozen.
Okay. Thank you. Also to Angelist, there's a question: how does one as a Gen Z traverse with the other generations without taking to be disrespectful? Most times when you try to engage or reason, you're taken as disrespectful.
Kebirungi, first of all,
yes.
First of all, I mean, I apologize that you have to face that. And I think that is what I was saying in the beginning. I think we really need to go back to the senior lawyers and encourage them to really start looking at this from an angle where they need to encourage young lawyers, to really speak their minds, because that is how they operate. Like I said in the beginning, the characteristics of a Gen Z and a baby boomer or Gen X, for example, are slightly different. So I think for me, what I can tell patients is that perhaps start by learning who you are going to approach. So if you are approaching a baby boomer, for example, I think it's key for you to actually understand the generation from which they are coming from and how they operate, so that you structure yourself for conversation in a way that suits their environment, because otherwise you risk to be seen as disrespectful, while in actual fact you're not. It's just your way of viewing things and your way of communicating. I want to give you an example. When I started practice, that was, I think, second year of my practice. It was in a young lawyer session conference, actually, that was. And I think for me at that time, as a millennial, I found that it's really high time for senior lawyers to retire so that we can actually get position in the firm. Because then at that time, I was thinking, I was seeing myself as I have been in the profession for maybe 2-3 years, and I think I know stuff. And I think I deserve a table somewhere in like a few years to come. And I wasn't seeing it. So I stood there and asked a senior lawyer, I think of a very big law firm in Kenya that was. And point blank, I said, I think it's high time you guys retire. And it was after he had made a presentation on succession. So for me, that question was really key. Like, oh, you're speaking about this, but this is not what we see in law firms. You become managers of these firms for years and years, and we do not have space. And what I would appreciate from that senior partner, he really approached the question in such a way that was empathetic. And you could tell that he understood the environment from which I was coming from. And I'm proud to say that is one of the firms in Kenya which later on promoted a lot of young partners, female and male, so to speak. And I'm not even ashamed to say it's Oraro and Co. To date, I think it's one of the firms in Kenya also which has many diverse group of young people in a mixture of all this generation working together. So I think patience, perhaps, like we said in the beginning, like how you would prepare to go speak with a client by learning and knowing your client, the KYC. Maybe next time you want to speak to a Gen X or even a Gen Z, learn a thing or two about how you need to approach or ask them, and really be upfront in saying if they actually come back to you as you being disrespectful, it's also your right to express your point that, no, I am not. Perhaps you didn't get me correctly. This is what I'm trying to put across. I'm not so sure if I answered her question, but that would be my take.
Thank you so much. I think you did in that regard. There's a question that came in my inbox in regards to His Worship Faisal. What skills do you think will always be irreplaceable, no matter how advanced legal tech becomes? And how did you earn respect in a highly traditional legal system as a judicial officer? Your Worship.
Thank you so much, Brownie, for that question, and the person that has asked the question. What skills will be irreplaceable? One is the advocacy skills, the listening and contextualizing skills. You must have the ability to listen and put into context what the unique client's need is. The skills of accurately diagnosing the client's problem to meet with the necessary requisite legal dosage. Now, this is a bit tricky. You're not going to take somebody for, let's say, you're not going to advise a person dealing in precious minerals as if you're advising a person who is claiming about supply of goods for spoiled beans. Goods that don't fit the description. So we must have a proper ability to contextualize and offer appropriate legal diagnosis. Then the skills of the build up of the legal industry in terms of seniority. I think this has been emphasized by Hamad, that we must respect these seniority roles. If somebody appeared before you on the role, they have some exposure they have, and that has been built over time. though you might have a better preposition or proposition or proposal. So you can create an idea of, I appreciate your guidance, but how about if we looked at it from this perspective? I do agree with you and the direction you take, but in my thinking, if we could also give room for this and this. The danger is if you want to show the baby boomer that is saying nothing and you want to tear the line, you're going to crash. And they have the connections, they have people that believe in them because of their longevity on the scene, they still control the work allocation schedules. And they have the ability to make a phone call in a space where you're not yet able to make a phone call and close you in before you arrive. And remember, these people are sitting in spaces of grace where you're not yet there. And they are conversing about that ill-mannered boy or ill-mannered girl who did ABC in your absence. So much as for you, you're having your conversation about what is trending on using the cap, is it the typing?
What's up?
The type sets irrespective of what you're using. For them, they're in these spaces of grace and they're already saying, there is this young lady called Brownie. She's so excellent at what she does. You really need to meet this person. She's very good at what she does. Then some other person, they are already staining your name before the fresh arrives. So by the time your fresh arrives, you're throwing yourself around. People are already biased about seeing this person whom they believe is bad-mannered. Two, there are these four ways of confirmation. I acknowledge the person's suggestion, receive it with respect, propose an alternative, and exhibit how the alternative will also make you arrive at the same goal. It is the four ways of offering alternatives. Say, I acknowledge your proposal, or traditionally, once you receive instructions, you would sue. The modern trend is that when you write to these people a letter, a notice of intention to sue, you don't need to use chorus language. You can use a language that inspires mediation. If they opt for mediation, we shall have an early retirement from this dispute. We shall have a win-win, and we shall also maybe be able to consider their side of the story away from what our client has stated. And then you move to seek their permission or their blessing of the proposed strategy. But if you break them and say, you don't know what you're talking about, I'm a graduate of this place and this is what we've been doing, they are very hesitant because they are stuck to their gut. So we must know our spaces and our roles and live to build our credibility into where we want to go. Without a doubt, you're the future of the legal industry. That assurance I want to give you. But you will inherit a vessel you've been part and parcel of its construction. You're not going to rebuild the wheel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. As we have you, there is one more question, then you give your parting shots. The question is, what are the risks if firms fail to adapt leadership practices to generational expectations? Your Worship?
Of course, that will be sad. That will be sad. I've already talked to the senior lawyers that we must nurture. We must do a reverse coaching. We must give room for these new ideas that are coming through. We must nurture. We must use our spaces as incubation centers for new ideas, redefining destinies, rebuilding destinies, but also aspiring the teams for common purpose. They will walk away. That is the problem. Either the Gen Zs will walk away, the millennials will walk away, or the baby boomers will walk away. And each one of them has got a contribution they add on the sustainability and the public trust in the legal industry. I don't want to imagine what will happen then that's what I talked about, that the people who strive to serve will now see that for over a long time, the legal industry has been overrated. So that's when you will see people opening parallel businesses that are resembling offering legal services. I think those in Uganda, you know what has happened to the real estate industry and the company registration and business registration works.
Yes,
People had overrated themselves into Xeroxing, plagiarizing precedents. What new addition every time you have an opportunity to draft anything, do not give more of the same, old bottles in new wines. Add some fresh, some value addition, and add your mind to what you're putting on the table.
Thank you so much. Any parting shots?
We must embrace diversity that is on our sleeves. We need a paradigm shift in our minds in terms of the various leadership roles, and we need to embrace an ever-changing strategy depending on the situation we are in. So we don't break each other across the millennial divide or the generational divide, but tap into each other's goodness to consolidate our role as the legal profession. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. We are honored to have you here. To Ms. Nashon, there is a question for you. Are there any innovative mentorship programs that effectively connect different age groups within your firm? Or are you aware of any programs that exist that aims to achieve these objectives? You can answer that and then have your parting shots too.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, apologies. Are there any innovative mentorship programs that effectively connect different age groups within your firm? Or are you aware of any programs that exist that aim to achieve these objectives? So basically mentorship programs that are available.
Yes, I'm aware of a couple of them. In our firm, we already have, like I said in the beginning, we really have an open door policy, for example, where as partners, you never close your door. So even a legal any minute, any day, it's just a knock away. So that is how we mentor. And we also do one-on-one sessions with associates, and then associates also are groomed to groom legal interns, and it's a top-down and down-top top approach, and which has really proved to growing the teams first quickly because it buys us time and also efficiently, so to speak. But I'm aware of other also platforms. As you mentioned earlier, I'm a board member of Tanzania Women Lawyers Association. We have a tailored mentorship program, and in that you have not only for firms, because I think he or she mentioned firms, even for judiciary. So we have judges, we have ministers, we have member of parliament who are all lawyers in one pool, and they are really placed in a structured way with mentees where they interact with each other and really grow each other from the professional perspective. I am also aware there's a similar initiative with the Tanganyika Law Society, which runs more or less a similar way, and is a way where all these generations which are currently available in the legal profession are available for mentorship. I think there was also a move. No, just recently I attended a career fair at the University of Dar es Salaam where Brownie and I went. They've launched a very they just launched a very good mentorship program, which I think students are going to be using from, while they're still studying, but at the same time already sourcing mentors who are already in the practice, who are already in the judiciary, and really exchange idea. And I think that is very, very important. Yeah, so yeah, those are the ones that I'm aware of. And I'm not so sure if there's one with the East African Law Society. I've not really checked. Maybe Brownie will be in a very better position to say that. But yes, those are the ones that I'm aware, and that is what we do as a firm to really mentor our young professionals, but also us getting mentored from those who are ahead of us. And I think for me, it's going to just be one key thing to end this, and that will be, you risk losing all if you do not bridge all these generations together in the legal profession. And that is because each of these generations brings something to the table that the other generation don't have. So you risk, not retaining good talent, for example, who are coming from millennials or even Gen Z, by looking at how they work, other than tapping into their creativity, tapping into their understanding, in curbing the new clientele in new areas of law where traditional lawyers might be somewhat behind in. So if you don't really approach it in such a way that bridges all of them together, you risk losing, growing the organization in other areas of law, but also really clients as well. Sometimes you speak about Gen Z and millennials as if they also don't have a share of clientele to bring in. These are also people who are growing into becoming the legal counsels in banks, in these legal institutions. So really, they also have their own clientele. And in a way, in no time, you won't be able, as a baby boomer, to interact with a client who is a Gen Z. And these are in the market. So you risk also losing the clients, but also you lose meeting clients' expectations, because their expectations vary and they also change. Having all these groups together enables you to really have an upper hand into tapping to what they understand, but also not disappointing them. And so you're able to retain clients as well. So I think those will be probably my conclusive remarks. Thank you. Back to you, Brownie.
Thank you so much, Angelista. Thank you for taking your time and sparing your time to be with us. I was going to have Hamad give us parting shots, but I see he is offline. Mr. Hamad? Okay. I think we have come to the end of the session. I do not see. Is he online? No, okay. I think we have come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, all the presenters, for ably answering. Oh, okay. There is a hand that has been raised. Okay, Mr. Hamad is here. Okay, cool.
Sorry about that. My internet connection somehow dropped. I take it that it's Angelista has given parting I missed, but I got right to the end, I think.
No, okay. Yes. We just wanted, I think I see you've answered the question that was in the chat from
Yes.
How do generational shifts influence expectations for work-life balance? We have a hand. I was going to tell you to give parting shots, but I see we have a hand. Judith, you can speak before Mr. Hamad gives his parting shots. Faraja, Judith? Hold on. Okay, the hand is down. So I think, Mr. Hamad, you can have your parting shots now as you complete. It's up again. Oh. Okay, Judith?
As I said in my opening.
Sorry, Judith she's now able to talk. Judith,
good
you can
afternoon.
speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes. We can have her ask a question, then you give closing remarks. Apologies.
Yes. My name is Advocate Faraja Umuhuza Judith. I'm an advocate from Rwanda, and I'm also a member of ELS Young Lawyers Committee. I would like to first of all appreciate how the webinar was well organized and very insightful conversation it was. I've had an honor to be part of various intergenerational dialogues involving young lawyers and senior lawyers. And they have always been concluded by acknowledging the great need to foster inclusivity of Gen Z. But when you see the practicality of that, you see that it's like 1% of that being put in practice. So my question is regarding to that. To what extent can we expect that the conversation we have had right now is going to maybe be advocated for, to be put into practice, so that we have Gen Zs in space, we have young lawyers being included in different intergenerational dialogue, as well as being given the platforms? Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. I think Mr. Hamad, you can answer that.
Right. I understand that it doesn't always look like training or discussions that we have in forums like this are being implemented in laws. I think all of this goes on very quiet in the background. Today we pick up things from all the speakers, and when you move forward in your law firm, you would implement those subconsciously. These are not, although able to have frustration, Angela said, with some in their law firm, something like that is those means and methods of pushing and ensuring that cross-generational learning happens, whether it be in the technical legal aspects and so forth. So I think these things happen subconsciously, and whilst you may be disappointed at this stage, when you look back if you look back and take a neutral view, you would realize that yes, some things did forward, and slowly things do improve.
All right. Are there any other contributions from the other panelists in this regard?
I would say, if I can say something, Brown, just a little bit.
Yes.
I think also there's already a move, like even having the committee at the ELS level. I think that is one of the first big initiative that really should be explored in making sure that you are actually bridging these gaps. Now, I'm not so sure how your interactions are run. Perhaps it's high time for you to really push for even maybe an interactive session during this during our annual conferences, for example, where you have all these people in the room, because that is the avenue that you actually get all of them together. And when you do, then you are able to air this, and then perhaps even create a move or even a call to action amongst ourselves to really move this agenda from being just something that we speak about, but really something that we actually actionalize or even do. So I think that would probably be a step. I'm not so sure how that is going to work, but I think perhaps you, as the vice chair, can actually move that agenda, and then also have people from the leading lawyers forum as well also do the same, and even try to really push for bringing these people together and really continue this conversation. I'm not so sure, but I think that would probably be a first step. But also us individually as well, especially senior lawyers in the room, try by doing what you can from wherever that you are. And even I think Faraja as well, you may think that perhaps because you are a younger lawyer, then maybe you don't need to actually take an active part in that. I think it's also high time for you from where you are and start pushing this agenda from the places that you're working from. So if it's a firm, start really pushing that interactive environment amongst you and your probably senior associates or partners in the firm. That would be my take.
Okay. Your worship.
Thank you so much. I think just to speak into what Faraja said, I had typed it in the chat. It's high time that leaders across the different age brackets effectively balance the differing expectations when communicating and the different communication styles that have been passed over or inherited across the different generations. Valuing each other's generational strength affirming their uniqueness and creating inclusive spaces where all of them voice their views without a feel heard or non-respected approach will help to balance the equilibrium in communication, but also arrange them to the goal. The focus should really be on shared values and traditions within the legal industry, focusing on boosting user confidence, public trust, and also delivering on their respective mandates. In this way, we shall have transparency that is homebred, like within the firm or within the workspaces. We shall have mutual respect for each other. We shall have transparency. We shall learn to withstand even what we feel is not worthy, but focus on the shared goals. And these will include integrity, appropriate service delivery, and justice. And at the end of the day, continuity in terms of the legal profession, continuity in terms of service delivery, continuity in terms of keeping all those that we feel are not worthy moving in our right direction as background noise, and aligning ourselves to attaining a space of Africa at the global market as the legal industry being key players in the social transformation and economic well-being of our continent.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those insights. I think it has been ably answered. We can have Mr. Hamad give us his closing remarks, and then we will log off. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Hamad, your closing remarks, sir.
I think we've spoken about the topic in depth, so I'm going to be rather short, and it is going to be a parting shot.
Okay.
Essentially, I think cross-generational training and sharing of knowledge is the most important thing. Mechanisms, schemes, placements, and workplace training sessions should be put in place so that there is a cross-generational sharing of information. Law firms are law firms, and mighty law firms are mighty law firms simply because they retain this wealth of knowledge. How you retain that wealth of knowledge in your region, it is something that you need to decide. But having that wealth of knowledge, making those sacrifices on in the career to ensure that we gain knowledge, we are influential and able to practice in the future better, is what I would leave you all with.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those insights. To all the young lawyers that are here, the East African Law Society Young Lawyers Committee is adept in terms of trying to advocate for young lawyers and seeing how our voices can be heard. We're having an action plan, and we're going to have various activities that are going to help young lawyers, especially in mentorship. Also under Uganda Law Society, I was under the Uganda Law Society Young Lawyers Committee for the last 2 years. We had fireside chats where we would actually meet with senior lawyers, and would meet them at their chambers, or most of them was at their chambers, and they just give insights, a free space to talk about what is happening. We had partners of S&L and also currently Judge Deepa. We also had the DPP. So through your law society, you can initiate such conversations in regards to mentorship and meeting as a smaller team, maybe 20 lawyers talking to senior lawyers, like 3 or 4. Then for those who are in Uganda, there is a ICSA mentorship program. This is a customized mentorship program for those who are interested in corporate law and governance. So you can join in there. And then there's also Female Lawyers Network that is highly looking at mentorship. Yes. So using your professional organizations, you can be able to receive those mentorship, participate, be active, and through that, you can be able to gain mentorship from others and show, and also mentor others in your space. I hand it over now to Gabrielle to take us through. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Brownie, and to you, our esteemed panelists, for this very wonderful session. It's really been quite insightful, it's been uplifting, and it's been a learning process for us. It's also interesting to learn the different traits that different generations possess. And to you, our esteemed panelists, Mr. Hamad Beg, Ms. Angelista Nation, and your worship, Faizo Umar Mularira, would like to thank you so much from the East Africa Law Society. Thank you for selflessly giving to the East African region this afternoon. Words cannot express how grateful we are for your sacrifice. I know, for example, his worship had a lot of matters lined up for today, and he gave out his time, 2 hours of his time just to come and mentor young lawyers. It really speaks a lot to the sacrifice and the love for the profession. And to you, Miss Angelista Nation, I know how busy you are in Dar es Salaam, but you always make time to come and attend. Hamad was in the middle of his vacation, but he had to come out of it and, come speak to us. So, Hamad, thank you so much. And to you, Brownie, thank you really so much for steering a very wonderful conversation that has kept us on the edge of our tables and chairs. It's been a very lovely afternoon. We've gone beyond our stipulated time, but we'd like to thank you all for making time to be here with us this afternoon. From the Secretariat, really, we'll be releasing a report of this session. We'll also share with you a recording of the same so that you can keep up with some of the nuggets of wisdom that have been shared across board. So this afternoon, I'm also privileged to announce that on Thursday we'll be having another session, and this time we'll be speaking mining law. And our theme on Thursday is Beneath the Surface, Rethinking Mining Law for a Just and Sustainable Future in East Africa. We have another rich panel of experts that will speak to this subject, so you do not want to miss that. We also have our in-house council convention that is coming up in Kigali, Rwanda on the 28th and 29th of August 2025. So if you're a law firm or your in-house counsel, you really would like to attend that and interact with Africa's largest cohort of in-house counsel. Otherwise, from us to you, we wish you all a very lovely afternoon. You stay blessed until we meet again. Goodbye. You can now exit at leisure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.